All right, class, how's it going? As you are aware, this is going to be our managing debt and personal finance lesson, as you can see here on the whiteboard up here. Um, what this lesson is basically about is how to teach and understand credit. Credit is one of the biggest things in personal finance today, considering the fact that it's how you're able to buy a car, any kind of automobile, a boat, a trailer, and then more importantly, a home. Without a home, without a home, obviously it's not fun to live, and then without credit, it's very hard to get a mortgage. And after working for a bank for about 4 years now, mortgage loans are very hard to get, and if you don't have good credit, they're impossible to get. So, as you can see from the slideshow up above, so how to spot personal debt problems. That's one of the hardest things to understand is when you're actually in a problem with debt. And the very first one I would recommend would be understanding how um, paying attention to interest. Interest is a really big deal. So when you have credit cards that, let's say, they don't allow you or they don't make you pay an interest payment for 2 years or 12 months or 24 months or 36 months or 8 months or whatever the case may be, you're saving that much money in interest on every purchase that you buy per month. So let's say you have a balance that was kept on your credit report, or even worse, your credit card. That problem you would not have to pay interest on that problem because of the fact that there's no interest being gained yet. And if you do not pay that interest, there is no effect on it because interest is not there. So that's the biggest thing. Also, the second thing is, are you using credit to buy everything? So, are you using credit to buy groceries? Are you using credit to buy Gatorades and sodas and beer, or whatever it might be? Hopefully, um, as you get older, you don't see your parents buying beer, you don't see your parents buying alcohol or groceries or gas or anything just strictly sold on credit. Hopefully, they're paying that off each month and then using their actually own money to buy it. And then check your credit limits. So when you are gained access to a credit card, you want to understand what the max credit limit is. So let's just say, take for me for instance, I have a credit card that is maxed out at 5,000, 10,000, and 2,500. I never go above 33% of that. So if I have a 10,000, let's say if I have a 1,000 or a $100 credit score or credit limit, I'm not going to go over $33 for that. That doesn't ever happen. It's always more than that. Usually, the worst you'll get is a build your credit card. I know a lot of, like, Wells Fargo does that, Bank of America does that. They start you out at 500, so you don't get trouble credit wise, but you're able to build credit doing that. And then, like I said before, don't let your payments get above 33%. And then what's in with credit? Well, low loan interest rates are very low. So right now, it's been an all-time low for mortgage interest rates. I think, but the lowest you can get right now is like 3.9% for a mortgage interest rate at the bank that I used to work at, which is unbelievably good. And I know a lot of parents and a lot of grandparents are paying over 7.5% interest rate, and that's why everybody is refinancing so they can get that monthly payment down. So pay attention to interest rates. Also, pay attention to small indulgences. Don't use your credit card for small things such as, $100 purchase for a pair of shoes or whatever, unless you know you're going to pay back at the end of the month. If not, use your actual money. Use your debit card, use your checks, use your anything other than a credit if you're not going to pay it off at the end of the month. And then what's also in is automatic ACH payments. So I have a credit card, I have a bank account, I have a bank at that same I have a credit card at that same bank. Just have them take that payment out every month at the exact same time. Then you'll never get lost. You'll never forget a payment. Just allow them to pay it for you. And then what's out? Having high savings account interest rates. I mean, they don't exist anymore. I think what I get on my interest rate right now is 0.009%. So they're pretty much non-existent. So just make sure you're aware of that, where you're keeping your money in money markets and stuff like that, where I have a little higher interest rates. And then what's out is having multiple credit cards. That's not a good thing anymore. I know it allows so when you get credit scores, your graded on different things, just like you are on any other thing. So if you have an available amount of credit that is, let's say, 66% full, regardless of how many credit cards you have, that looks bad with you. So just don't keep opening credit cards just to allow your debt ceiling to go higher, because it doesn't work that way. They count it in for everything. And credit people are awful. They're hard to deal with. And then wasting money on interest payments. If you pay every month on your credit card, you will have no interest payments. Therefore, if you will save money every month by paying your credit card month. If you're going to have to use your credit card, you might as well pay it off every month, because then you're going to save whatever that interest rate is. And then the best way to stay out of debt, saving for major purchases. Obviously, that'll keep you from going out of debt. As you can see on the whiteboard, there's a picture of a money right here. Money is the key part in this thing. Just make sure you understand how money works and how interest rates works and how credit works. That's the best way. And then mobile apps to help you recognize where you are at money-wise. So if I have money or I do not have money, say I have $15 left and I'm somewhere and I want to buy something that has $17, well, I can check on my mobile app really quick and say, oh, I can't buy that right now. I will have to come back another day, or have to deposit money or use cash to do it. And keep the credit spending in check. So just make sure you're understanding every month, because of interest, because of your credit score, because of that credit limit, make sure you're understanding how credit is and how it works and how much you are paying each month. And then pay off for credit cards every month. Very simple. Just do it. And then, as you can see here, the anatomy of credit, I call it, is the birth of credit was basically banks lending money to people for mortgage rates, for auto loans, for property, for anything. That's basically how credit was built. And then it goes on to how it's kind of got us in trouble is being able to access multiple credit cards at once, with people just trying to get us to apply for credit cards and pre-approval for credit cards, just for the sole fact that they want us to start paying with those credit cards so they can charge us interest. So just be aware of that. Just because you get a credit card in the mail doesn't mean you're doing everything right. They just want your money. And then free spending. So basically, people think of credit cards as free money, and it is not. Just make sure you understand that whatever you use on a credit card, you've got to pay back plus some. And then what to use your credit for. Obviously, you want to use it for higher education, secondary education. You want to use it to buy an automobile, and you want to use it to buy a home. Those are the three things I would allow you to use credit for. You don't want to go into debt to buy a TV or a PS3 or PS4 or whatever's hot now, or you don't want to use it to buy an Xbox One or a new Apple computer or something. Make sure those purchases you're saving for. And surprisingly, the youngest Americans are spending the most. And there's a little pie graph here that I got from Yahoo that shows the seniors are spending $2 billion a year. The baby boomers are spending $2 billion a year. Generation X is spending $4 billion a year. And Generation Y is spending $11 a year. So Generation Y, you've got to be careful. Cut down on that spending, or you're going to get yourself in trouble. And other than just underwriting credit, and make sure you look at your handouts, everything that we just went over on the presentation is right here on the board. And the assignment is to find a credit company and understand what they are, what their interest rate is, what the requirements are to apply for that credit card, what the interest rate will be once you are approved, and then make a PowerPoint presentation on all of those facts. So I want you to make a presentation outlined MasterCard. I was approved this much per month. I was not approved this much per month. I did not qualify. And then I want you to go on and so forth for the requirements that are due, or that are expected of you. And then the due date will be Friday, May 30th. I'm giving you about 2 weeks to do this. It's very reasonable. I just want you to just briefly go down the rubric that I gave you just a second ago, right before the lecture started. Look over the rubric, match the rubric with each slide on your PowerPoint, and that'll be perfect. As long as you get the PowerPoint done, as long as you understand why credit's important, you will do fine on the test that will come shortly. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. And then now I'm just going to go on with questions. Are there any questions? And that is how I would end the lecture. Thank you very much, sir, and I hope you have a great rest of the semester.